Hi, I'm Maria and I'm doing a 200-hour training at Om Yoga in Fort Mill starting in January. This teacher training is going to be a Vinyasa power yoga training. Some of the teachers that I've studied with, Baptise, Rod Stryker, Grace Morales, and Johnna Smith. So it is power yoga training, and power yoga training comes from Ashtanga, which is what I practiced when I went to India in 2012. Definitely not 200 hours of just, yoga practice. We would never make you practice for that long. So the training is broken up into, they're on the weekends, usually 3 to 4 weeks apart, and it consists of a lot of different things. Yoga is a lot more than just the physical asana, so we're gonna really dive into the history of yoga, the energetics of it, sequencing, assisting, practice teaching. You'll get to learn more about the energetics of the body, how to build a sequence that makes sense and feels good in your body. And it's also a great way to learn more about yourself, because a lot of people, they go into training and they realize that it's not as easy as it looks. Some people can teach a yoga class and they can make it look fairly effortless. And there's a lot that goes into it, like finding your own voice, being able to stand up in front of people. So the only prerequisite to actually be in this training is that you want to learn more about yoga. You don't necessarily have to want to be a yoga teacher. Your practice doesn't have to look a certain way. As long as you have an idea of how to move your body in space, and you have some body awareness and some breath awareness, and you've taken a few yoga classes, that should be enough. And I'm not saying it's easy. The less you know, the more work it'll be, for sure. But there's no prerequisite to taking the training. With social media and everything, we see a lot of people, a lot of yoga on Instagram, so we can think to ourselves, wow, if I can't do that, I can't be a yoga teacher, or I'm not a yogi. And I think there's so much more to it, and sometimes we can be really good yogis on the mat, but we're not living our life, we're not holding ourselves up to those values off the mat. So this is something that the training will address as well. So more than physical, like what are the mental and spiritual benefits of this practice? And we don't often get to talk about that in a regular class, because I only have 1 hour or an hour and 15 minutes with you. And you want to move because you've been at work all day. And so now when you come into this training, we have so much more time to explore everything else that yoga has to offer. And it's really life-changing. If you think the physical practice is life-changing, imagine if you started meditating, if you were more mindful, if you started studying yourself and observing your own reactions, your own feelings, and your own emotions, what that could do for you. That's the biggest benefit of this. And then if you come out of it and you really have this urge and this need to share this information with other people, then that's when you teach. A lot of people like to teach what they like to practice. So sometimes after the training, we have students that will adapt the sequence that we taught them in the power yoga class to their demographic that they're teaching. So we have students that come out of this and they end up teaching in schools, they end up teaching beginners, so they have to modify the sequence a little bit. Part of the training is learning how to sequence to the level of ability of your students, so adapting to your students. So you will learn how to make the sequence harder for more advanced students, or easier if you have beginner students. We're also going to cover restorative and deep stretch classes. So you'll definitely be able to teach a really good, passionate, powerful power yoga class, and a deep stretch restorative class.